Okay, I think that we chose this place because it was built by our great grandfather who was the village doctor for 50 years, and he came up and over the hill and married a local village girl, and they built this place in the early 1880s. Is that
Yes.
right?
That is.
1880s. So it has been family owned since then. And I know it's a memorable place for me because it's a place that I went to frequently when I was a child. We would come over and spend the night with our grandparents, who seemed ancient to us at that time, but they were in their 60s. So that's a really fond memory.
But also, just in the village here, like our great Aunt Jane lived right next door, 10 yards away, and we would visit her there. And our mom and her sisters and their family lived in a house across the street for years during the summers. And so, really, up and down Main Street is just full of houses that have sort of come in and out of the family, and that were, we have habitated at one point or another, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, the running joke was that, this was like the compound. The village was the compound, the Genung compound. So I didn't grow up in Freeville, but I actually grew up in Washington, D.C. But I would come here in the summers. My mother would send me off in the summers, and because she was working, and I would spend the summers here with my aunts and cousins and staying in this house when I was a child. And we also came at Christmas, which was terrific. And some of my favorite memories of this house have to do with spending Christmas here, and my mother would lay out all of the gifts from Santa next to the fireplace.
Do you remember the table? It was set with finger bowls.
Oh yeah,
and creamed corn and little bowls.
Yeah, our grandmother was really from the Victorian era, and so the table was very elaborate. I think we may be one of the few remaining upright individuals that actually do remember salt cellars and using finger bowls.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, it was our grandfather who had a love of China.
Yeah.
He could not resist going, for example, to Syracuse, to the China. He would always come home with a set of china, which turned out to be kind of nice because after our grandparents had died, all of our mothers inherited at least one set of family china. So.
They also inherited property
Yeah.
for sort of King Lear-like for farms right here in Freeville, and so the four Genung sisters, our mothers, all had property right here and used it. Rachel and I grew up right down the street on a farm. Our granddad owned a farm behind us. So there was this idea that, we were sort of surrounding, the village, but also just in the summer, seeing the kids, even now, seeing the kids riding their bikes with their fishing poles, it just really reminds me of what it was like to be a child here. It honestly has not changed.
Really
Can you say this on? It has really not changed.
Yeah.
And Mom used to say this. She would say, this place really has not changed since my childhood.
There are literally the same cracks in the sidewalk when we were riding our bikes when I was 10. Like, I remember these cracks.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to do
Right.
wheelies off little cracks in the sidewalk.
Right.
They're still there.
And to go to elementary school at the village school and to sing in the choir at the church right down the street, which
Where our grandmother played the organ.
She was the organist. And it's just at this point a lifetime of immersion, I guess you would call it, real serious soaking in of a very specific place. And I don't know, those howling blizzards in February when you look down Main Street and the drifts are up over the mailboxes, and it's
or when you go out in the
important.
middle of the night, it's 3 a.m. and there are deer standing in Main Street, and
and sort of cats that just go from
Yeah.
house to house and whatever, you know, and everybody like looks out after them. And I mean, I think we just had a village cat that was sort of missing for
And
3 or
then
4 months, and then
Down.
And then got found.
Reappeared.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a pretty special. I think all small places are probably special in their own
Right.
way, but this is our special.
And I think what might be a little unusual is that we've had 4 or 5 generations of family who lived in Freeville, and I know that at least 2 of my daughters would love to come back, like the same way I did. I left for 8 years, came back, and I have a feeling they would do the same in a heartbeat.
Well, I came back. I was teaching in Maryland for 30 plus years. And when I got ready to retire, I had already purchased a home on Main Street and was ready to come back to Freeville. My grandparents, I did grow up in Freeville. And all summer long, I could be up and down the street, and my grandmother living here would say, "Nancy, come on in. We're having lunch today. Just have lunch with us."
Oh, nice.
There, I
Yeah.
was at the wedding in the dining room where your
Where our
where
parents
your
were
parents
married.
got married.
Right.
So it's
Right.
just full of wonderful,
Right.
wonderful
Yeah.
family memories. But
So, my experience of coming back here is a little bit different in that I, after college, and I went to school at the University of Maryland, taught for a couple of years, and then decided to move back here with the man who was then my first husband. So, but in any event, I remember, you know, we had jobs as house parents at the George Junior Republic, and I would walk down the street in Freeville and think to myself, boy, after coming from Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
boy, I hope I don't end up here. And that was 45 years ago! So, yeah, but it has been wonderful. It really is idyllic. And now with young families moving back in,
It's wonderful.
It's just
Wonderful.
remarkable. The other day I saw a couple of boys, you know, I don't know, they were preteen anyway, riding their bikes up and down the main street, and you know, one of them just thinking he was the bee's knees, pulling a wheelie, and it just made me laugh. I remember so well doing that, doing the same thing. Yeah.
Doing the same.
You know, that's the gang in Freeville.
Yeah.
And
I grew
also
up
to
on the
be-
photo.
To
Yeah.
be, oh, the photo.
The
yeah.
photo. Yes, the photo.
That, yeah.
So, this is our grandfather when he was a boy, obviously, and over on one of the farms.
Mhm.
He
right
grew
on
up in
Fall
this
Creek.
house, and they had a
Grew up in
farm
this house.
back there.
And
It's a Vern Morton photograph, and we're very proud to have a Vern Morton photograph of our grandparent. And I love the fact that he's standing with a cow. And
yeah.
those were prize-winning cows, apparently.
He was very proud of his cows.
Yeah.
So,
the
and
doctor.
the
the
doctor.
doctor was.
And, you know, he, like our grandfather left Freeville, had a whole career in Washington, D.C., and I think our family is unique in that it's not like we never left, like most of us have lived elsewhere, but
Right.
all roads seem to lead back to this village, but
Yeah.
really to this house.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
So-
he, as it turned out, went to Cornell, as did our grandmother, and became an ag economist. So the cow is clearly symbolic of his future endeavors.
Who knew?
But who knew?
Who knew?
Vern.
Vern knew.
Vern knew.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it hangs in this house where he started.
Yay!
All right.